It's another good day to eat absolutely nothing while talking about a controversial case. Oh, hi, you look so lost, but I think we have just found you, just stumbled upon you, and you stumbled upon me, and it was a match. Wow, okay, this is not Tinder. Hi, this is last meal segment, where sometimes I eat a prisoner's last meal. And look at this guy, he chose nothing. Well, actually, he chose something, but then he didn't eat it, so that something was kind of hard to find, so instead I'm here with an empty plate. This is Last Meals. I'm your homegirl who doesn't have any other skills, but I sit down on Fridays next to a plate and sometimes I eat, whatever the person that has done a bad deed has eaten on that day. Sometimes I cheat and they're not actually on a death row, and sometimes that person just wouldn't have had their last meal at all. They would choose to eat nothing, they would refuse the special meal. So we just sit here, and then the second part of what this video is all about kicks in. And that's the part where I tell you all about the bad deeds that they have done. Today we're going all the way to India. So this is going to be short just because there's not that much info on the internet. However, it's going to be controversial at the same time because there's plenty of people in the world still convinced that Yakub Memon, the person I'm talking to you about today, shouldn't have been executed when he was, and B, some people doubt, like, should he have been executed in the first place, or was he just technically a scapegoat in order for them to execute somebody? We're talking about Bombay bombings today, and Bombay is Mumbai today, so let's dive into the life of Yakub Memon. Yakub was born in July 1962. Nothing much was known about his childhood, but we pick up that he was smart because he started studying commerce and then ended up completing Masters of Commerce and Arts at Burhani College, after which he enrolled in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Now, once he completes this, he joins his partner Chetan Mehta and they found like an associate company for the accountant called Mehta and Memon Associates. However, their partnership wasn't really like meant to be. After a year, they split and Yakub starts his own accountant's company called AR and Sons. We know he was a great accountant because he was recognized by the Memon community, and Memon lineage goes all the way back to 15th century. And the people that have founded the community have practiced Hinduism. He gets recognized by the Memon community as the best chartered accountant of the year. He also founded a meat export company called Tedraf International. So he started exporting meat to the Persian Gulf region and the Middle East. Now we have to talk about a second person before we return to Yakub. So this person is called Mohammed Sheikh, or his nickname was Gulu. At the time there were riots happening in Bombay and the police picked up Gulu as one of the people on the streets and they started interrogating him. And Gulu kind of got spooked and he actually confessed to the whole plot of the bombing. However, the police didn't believe him. So Gulu told them that 19 men were chosen by Tiger Memon, so member of the Memon family. However, Tiger had more of separatist views compared to the rest of his family. So he said to the police that he was chosen among 19 other men to go to Pakistan and train in bomb use and train in ammunition use. And Gulu tells them they are planning to bomb Bombay Stock Exchange, Sahar Airport and the Shiv Sena Bhawan. There's a whole conspiracy in the way, it's gonna happen every day now. However, the police is just there like listening, like, yeah, haha, sure, yeah, of course, like, let's arrest him for riots, but like, there's just no foundation in this. However, his arrest spooked Tiger Memon and the actual original plan, making them advance the day of the bombing and move the date of the blast to the 12th of the March, so only 3 days from then. The riots that Gulu participated in were these communal riots between Hindus and Muslims. In those riots, many Muslims who lost the family members of their friends and family reached out to Dawood for justice and vengeance. This guy was kind of like a godfather, so it was more of like a mafia boss figure, but they would go to him like, hey, this is who we have lost, how can we plead vengeance? And then he would like onboard them, send them to Pakistan for guns and bomb training. So especially in these communities, these people were seen as a godfather image in the society. And Dawood Ibrahim, as this mafia boss, whatever you wanna call him, in the society, had this sentimental factor, therefore, to serve justice to his Muslim brothers in the city, because the aftermath of the events will reveal that predominantly the areas that were attacked were prevalently Hindu-dominant areas. Now we go back to Yakub Memon and where we left it off. And Yakub at this point, yes, was doing his accounting thing, but obviously he was also financially supporting his brother Tiger Memon, who was the right hand to Dawood Ibrahim himself. And Yakub handled Tiger's funds, and Tiger's funds were used to send those 19 boys that Gulu mentioned to Pakistan to train them in handling bombs and handling arms. And Tiger and Dawood also both grew up in this poor Muslim district, so they founded this whole project by smuggling, by blackmailing businessmen in India, and also by investing in Bollywood movies. So their plan was, once they have this army of petty criminals trained, to then ship ammunition, RDX, rifles, bombs, everything into the city and arm these petty criminals, and then to distribute them at the different tactical points. So as Gulu said, some of it would be stock exchange, markets, and then those bombs would be strapped to scooters. They would be hidden in different parts of the cars, and also they would be left in suitcases in obviously the landmark buildings around Bombay. So it happened. On 12th of March 1993 at 1:30 p.m. the first bomb exploded at the stock exchange. 30 minutes later another bomb exploded at this corporation bank. And between 1:30 and 3:40 p.m. there were 12 bombs that exploded at different landmark points around Bombay. They attacked 3 hotels, regional passport office, Air India building, and a major shopping complex. They also bombed the Plaza Cinema owned by Bollywood legend V. Shantaram. And strategically they also bombed the Century Bazaar that belonged to Birlas, who were one of the India's first business family. However, the target was also obvious because they damaged in particular the headquarters of the right-wing Hindu Shiv Sena party. And this was said to be for the religious riots earlier that year, 1992 and 1993, in which a large number of Muslims were killed. So this blast left 257 people dead and 1,400 injured. And obviously it was also one of the first terror attacks in India, so they really, in terms of investigation, didn't really know where to begin, how to even deal with this. Luckily for them, well, they had enough police force. They put about 150 people on this, and they were looking around the bomb areas, and soon enough they found this scooter with a bomb that just didn't function, didn't explode. And in that area they find a van that was packed, crammed with grenades and weapons. They were like, okay, these two might be connected. So they look at the license plate, and sure enough, the license plates of the van did lead them to a person. Her name was Rubina Memon, and she was Yakub's sister. However, most of the family actually fled India about 2 days before the bombings, obviously because they were tipped off and warned. Now that they had this connection to the family, obviously they go and search the house, even though the family isn't there any longer. And they found out that there's a dad and there's 5 sons, and then there's Rubina. And that the oldest son, Tiger Memon, is a smuggler and a henchman sort of for Dawood Ibrahim. But also their smoking gun really was what they found inside the house. And that was a key that matched the scooter where they found the bomb that just didn't go off. Police is searching, well, where did all the ammunition come from? The bombs, the RDX, they had to have a huge supply, so it had to be coming in from somewhere. And they zero in on the people that approved these kind of packages and questioned 2 of them, who soon fessed up to everything. However, at this time all of them have fled India and actually are in Pakistan. And they have been saying the Pakistan government has been helping them, and inter-services intelligence also was just aiding them in hiding. But one of them, and that is Yakub Memon, decides to actually come back. Well, he said himself that he surrendered in Nepal about a week before he actually came to New Delhi railway station, but it was in August 1994 at New Delhi railway station where the police finally had one man in custody, and that was Yakub Memon. At trial, Memon consistently maintained his innocence. However, the judges and everybody finally had somebody. They finally had somebody in custody, so they put all of the blame of everything on him. They called him mastermind. They said that like he was the one that was actually handling the bombs directly, but also handling the financial engagements around it. So obviously like they put as much blame as possible. And you have to remember, it was 4 years that they were trying to search and get somebody to pay for these crimes, and they finally had somebody. So they were not to let him go off easily. The trial was the longest running criminal case, with 680 witnesses giving testimonies, filing 13,000 pages. It began in June 1995 and hearings ended in January 2003. And a total of 123 men and women were accused of the involvement of the bombings. So the rest of the Memon family did get life imprisonment, like all of them, for aiding and abetting technically. Yakub himself got charged on multiple offenses, so obviously he got life imprisonment or rigorous imprisonment for like illegal possession, possessing explosive with the intent to endanger lives, aiding and abetting the terrorist act, but he got a death sentence because of the criminal conspiracy to carry out terrorist acts and disruptive activities and murder. So he was sentenced in 2003 and he actually spent the next 12 years on death row. While during this whole time he was appealing his sentences, he also managed to finish 2 master's degrees at Indira Gandhi Open University in India. So he studied English literature and then political sciences as well, but he never stopped appealing. Now, in July 2015, his lawyers filed the last mercy petition, and this was also rejected by the judges. However, this time they decide on the date of his death, but this was decided in the couple of days. It wasn't given enough time for his lawyers to appeal once again, and this was deemed controversial but also illegal in a way. Once the mercy petition is rejected, he must get a minimum of 14 days to prepare himself mentally for the execution, to make his peace with God, prepare his will and settle other earthly affairs, to have a final meeting with family, and the right to avail of judicial remedies. However, the court has actually said, well, he actually had one mercy petition last year, so technically this still meets the requirements, so his death date stands. So on 30th of July 2015, which was also his 53rd birthday, Yakub Memon was woken up early in the morning to go before the court to just hear the sermon again, and then was allowed to choose his last meal. He refused any special meals, but was offered upma, which is kind of like porridge back in India. Correct me again if I'm wrong, I don't know, this is how Wikipedia translated it and how it was shown to me in the picture, so it's kind of like a breakfast meal. On 30th of July 2015, which was also his 53rd birthday, he was woken up bright and early around 4 a.m., was allowed to take a bath and then to choose a special meal, like a special breakfast. He got also a final phone call with his daughter and was also given time to read Quran. He was then given one last medical examination and was handed over to the police and to the hangman, and was the 24th person to be hanged in Nagpur Central Jail since 1947. That's the case, technically, of Yakub Memon. However, obviously this sparked so many debates. A, for the death penalty. B, was the court right to make this decision and like technically have like a technicality that they went around, but was it really legal? Or did they just finally want to show their face and like finally have somebody executed for these crimes? And 3, was the right man in prison? Or was he just a scapegoat for them again to have somebody charged, to have somebody executed, even though he might not have been the mastermind in the first place? And then D, yeah, was he the mastermind? Because from where I see it, it was executed by somebody else. Yes, I think Yakub was involved. I think he did help out. Probably financially, probably money laundering, smuggling, with all of that. But there's nothing in his background for me to be like, no, this guy definitely, yeah, did build all of these bombs, tied them to scooters, was like actually physically involved and planning this to this degree. Plus, also, he's the only one who decided to come back. So, yeah. And then what makes me believe all of this is, what letter was I on? E. that yes, obviously they had to wait this many years for him to return to the country to begin with, and then how many, don't make me do math, but a lot, technically, like what, 2 decades? But yeah, between 1993 and 2015, to have somebody actually pay for the crime, technically, pay for what they had deemed to be the right punishments. So I can see how these activists and people like vouching for this can see that this is just a proof for the government to show that India is not soft on terror, like we will not tolerate terrorist attacks. And this was the message that was given because they couldn't get to the right perpetrators. Obviously, there is probably multiple people that do believe that Yakub was completely innocent. Like, he has always maintained his innocence. He has never said, like, he was involved in any way, shape, or form. And could it be possible? Well, technically, they tied the evidence in the house to other members of his family. So, again, I think you'll need to let me know what you think. It would be great if like any people in India that are watching this actually do let me know what is kind of like common knowledge in India on this, because there is the information on this on the internet is so scarce. It's kind of like on this day kind of information where they commemorated in history and you're like, well, I need like some more. Or it's like a Wikipedia page. I'm like, great, anybody can put information on there. So it would be great for this to open up the channel and for people and communities back in India to tell me what is the common knowledge on this back home. What are the common beliefs? Who was in the right? Who was in the wrong? But you let me know in the comment section below and let me know what you want me to eat next. Whose case do you want me to cover? Because boy, these abroad, I really want to cover more of them, but they're so scarce. The information is so scarce. So yeah, you do the research for me, you email me and then I'll cover it. Okay, cool. Cool, but till then, I have nothing else to tell you. And nothing else to say. So this is a good bye. Oh, look at this empty plate. It's so sad. It's just like nothingness. God damn it.